In this video we're going to have a look at creating our first platform game using GameMaker Studio. It's a very simple game. Basically it's a little man that can jump around onto different blocks or different platforms, and that's where we get the name platform game from. So we've moved on from maze games now. We're going to get a little bit harder, as you can see. You can see gravity pulling him back down to the ground as well when you don't land on a platform. Okay, so it's fairly simple. There's not much to it, but it is a little bit different to what you've been doing in the maze games. So let's pop over to GameMaker Studio and have a look at how to set up your very first platform game. To begin with, click on the New tab at the top of the page there and make sure you hit those little dots and choose an appropriate folder to save your work into. I'm going to call my project Jumping, and I'm going to click on Create, and that's just going to create a game for me. Alrighty, so once GameMaker is set up, just pop back into Curriculum Drive and get a copy of the resources you need. It's just a little old man and a wall for this one. I want you to copy those by pressing Ctrl C and going into the folder you just created in GameMaker. So here's my jumping folder. I'm going to make a new folder called Resources, and inside those resources I will just paste in my old man and my wall. So there they are. So now we're ready to start in GameMaker. So I'm going to pop over there now, and I'm going to start by bringing in the two sprites. Okay, I'll load the first one in from my resources folder. It's the old man. Okay, you don't need to remove the background as it's already gone. I'll give it the name SPR man. Click OK. And then I'll bring in the second sprite, which is the wall. Again, don't remove the background from it, and we'll give it the name SPR_wall. Click OK. So there are two sprites. Let's turn them into objects now. So obj_man for the first one. Attach the man sprite to it. Second of all, we'll create the wall sprite. So obj_wall. Choose your sprite wall to go along with it. Don't forget to check the solid box, as we don't want our little man running straight through the wall. Click OK once you've got that, and let's start making up our first level. So create a room for me. Give it the name level 1, and the width will be 640, the height will be 480. For the background, just choose a plain color. I'm going to choose a dark one. And for the objects, simply draw your little man down near the corner and draw your wall around the entire outside of the page so he can't escape the room. Once they've drawn the wall around the outside of the page, start adding some platforms in for him to jump onto. Okay, it's up to you where you put them. Doesn't really matter. As long as he's got a few places he can jump onto. Alright, that'll probably do us. So that's my first level. First and only level actually, so I'll press the tick. And if that box comes up, just click on yes. Alrighty, so we're up to programming our game already, so let's open up the object man and start making him move. Now to make our man move in a platform game, it's a little bit different to what we've been doing in the maze games. We have to imagine that our little man sits on an axis, and he sits at that center point there. If he wants to move left, he moves into the negatives on that axis. If he wants to move right, he moves into the positives. Okay, so what we're going to do is, just keeping that in mind, we're going to pop back into GameMaker, add an event in, and the first event is just going to be the usual keyboard events, and it will start with the left key. So we want our little man moving left of that center point on the axis. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to check if our position to the left is collision free. So we go to our Control tab, we choose the first option there, okay, just check empty it's called, and for the X value we want to put in -4. Okay, and that's because he's looking to move at a speed of 4 across the axis here, so towards the left. We're going to leave Y as 0, objects only solid, and we're going to check relative, so it looks from his current position, and it's just going to look to the left to make sure he can move at a speed of 4 across to the left. So if the position is collision free, then we're going to move him across to the left. So let's go to the Move tab, and we're going to choose this first jump option here, which is jump to position, and we're going to set it to X equals -4. and then we're going to check the relative box at the bottom. So that moves him 4 places, or at a speed of 4, sorry, to the left from where he currently stands. We'll click OK, and that's how you move your player to the left in a platform game. It's a little bit different to a maze game, but still the same number of steps, so it's not too much harder. Let's do a similar thing for the right keyboard event. So let's add in a new event. This time the keyboard for the right. Start with your control tab, choose the check empty action, and this time we're moving along our axis to the right. So we're looking at the positive numbers now. So if you want to move at a speed of 4 to the right, let's check the X equals 4, Y will equal 0, object's only solid, and make sure you check relative. So it's looking from his current position, can he move 4 spaces or at a speed of 4 to the right. If it's okay, there's no collisions, then we're going to go to the Move tab, and we're going to jump to position, X equals 4, and check the relative box. Click OK, and now you should have your little man moving left and right, no worries. The other direction that we can move in our platform games is up, so you can jump in the air. Okay, we can't move down in these games anymore because gravity pulls us to the ground, but we can move up. So let's add in a keyboard event for the up key. And we're going to make our little guy jump. Okay, and there's 2 things we need to do here. First one on the keyboard event, we're going to go back to the control tab, and we're going to select this blue ball here. It's called check object. We need to check to see if there's any walls above our head, basically. So what we're going to do, where it says object, we're going to select the object wall. We're going to change the Y value to 1. So looking along that axis there, we've got the X axis going from left to right, and the Y axis going up and down. So we're going to check just 1 space above our head on that Y axis. And that's why we changed the Y to 1, and we check relative. So it looks at his current position straight above his head to make sure that there's no walls there, and then it's safe to jump. Okay. What we're going to do then is, if we do hit a wall that is above our head, we're going to need to move ourselves back down. So we're going to set a vertical speed to -10. So it's basically, if we jump in the air, we hit a brick wall, we have to come back down. Okay, and that's just setting our speed for that. The other thing we need to do when we jump, we need to add in a new event, and it's going to be a step event. We've got a series of steps that need to be performed to actually jump in the air. Okay, there's quite a few here. First thing we need to do is go to the control tab, and we need to choose the check empty option here. We're going to leave X as 0, Y is going to be 1, objects will be only solid, and we are going to check relative. Okay, so again, we're checking above our heads in the game. Okay, so we're going to next of all set the gravity. Let's go to the Move tab here. This down arrow, no, sorry, not this down arrow, it's the blue down arrows that allow us to set the gravity speed. And what we're going to do is move our direction to 270. Okay, if we have a look back over at this PowerPoint for a moment, these are the different directions that we can move in our platform games. If we move to the right, we're moving at 0 degrees. That's our direction. If we want to move up, it's 90 degrees. To the left, 180 degrees. And if we want to bring our player down, we're moving at 270 degrees. Okay, so that's why we're writing in 270 just here in the direction. The gravity, this is the speed that or basically the height, sorry, that our player is going to jump in the air off the ground. We're going to start with 0.5, but we can adjust that if you want to jump higher or not so high. Okay, and we'll play around with that a bit later on. So we'll click OK once we have set the gravity. After we set the gravity, we're just going to go to the Control tab and select the Else button. Okay, and then we're going to go back and set the gravity one more time. We'll put 270 in as the direction and leave gravity to 0. Okay, so if the position above our head is not free, so there's a wall above it, then we just leave our gravity at 0 and he can't jump anywhere. Okay, and we'll click OK there. If we do jump and we actually hit a wall, we've got to bring our player back down, so let's just test a variable in the Control tab here. It's the middle VAR you want inside the polygon shape. You want to check the V speed. You want to set the value to 12, and the operation should be larger than, or greater than, sorry. v-speed 12 greater than, click on OK, and the final thing we need to do in the move tab again is we're going to set the vertical speed. So that red arrow pointing down, we want to set it to 12, and then click on OK. So that should have our player jumping up and down, up, no worries, he doesn't jump down. And finally, we're going to add in one last event, and that's just a collision with the wall. Okay, in our maze games, when we hit the wall, we stopped moving. I guess it's a similar kind of thing with this one as well. So when we have a collision with the wall, the first thing we need to do is choose the move to contact position. That's this red arrow pointing towards a blue line. We're going to change the direction value to the word direction. Maximum is going to be 12, and against will be solid objects. And you can click on OK. Last thing we need to do is set our vertical speed once again to 0. Click OK. That's everything you need now to make our little player jump around the room. So let's press the green, press OK first, and then press the green play button at the top. We'll have a look at this. As it's the first time it is compiling, it may just take a moment. But once it gets going, it shouldn't take too long. Alright, looks like we're almost there. Alright, here comes our game. Okay, so we can move left and right, no worries. When we jump, we're able to jump around on these platforms. Okay, so that's looking good. If you want to make your guy jump a little bit higher or lower, let's go back and have a look at how we do that. Back in Object Man, what we're going to do inside the step event, we've got set the gravity here. It's this second one, we've got it set to 0.5. We set that to say 0.8. Click OK and OK. Let's have a look at what that does. You can set this value anywhere between 0 and 1. Okay, so we'll see what we can come up with when we set it to 0.8. Just a little bit slow to compile, but it looks like we're getting there now. Okay, here we go. So now when I jump, you can see it's not jumping anywhere near as high as it was before. I actually can't get onto that first platform. So the closer that number is to 1, the lower we jump. Okay, but if we change that number now, one more time, so it's in the step event, that's the second one where we set the gravity. Let's change to 0.3. Click OK. And when we run this now, because that number's gone lower and it's closer to 0, we've got less gravity pulling us back to the ground, so we should be able to jump a lot higher. So again, we'll just have to wait for this game to compile. A little bit slow today. Alright, got some action, so let's see how high he can jump now. Okay, so you can see that he's in the air for a lot longer now, and we can easily get up to that second platform. We should even be able to get up the top now. Yep, no worries at all. Alrighty, so by changing that set gravity number, you can either jump higher or lower. But I'm thinking about 0.5 seems the most realistic. So that's what we're going to stick with. Maybe if you get a power up in your game, you could set that to a different gravity so you can actually jump higher. But I think when you're running around your room normally, 0.5 is a good gravity to have. So that's how you jump in a platform game.